Hey, good morning, guys. Sean here with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Thank you for joining in. We have a little bit of a Monday market report to discuss. If this is your first time here, first of all, welcome. And second, this report highlights all of the relevant modern post 1900 coins to have sold here in the last week. And we have more great collections listings to peruse over. I've probably never been more excited about a report than I am this week. Okay, and the big reason why is we're beginning to see where some of what I like to call real money is going into as far as collectibles and just overall, I guess, highly investable, highly collected pieces, US type pieces, of course. Not to say that the ultra modern stuff was at all smoke and mirrors, but it was all bound to kind of slow down a little bit. But we do have a number of ultra moderns here to talk about too. So your post 1950 general regular kind of like modern coinage. There are a number of them on this report, which is good news. But the other kind of like big announcement I wanted to make was that this is going to be a two-part Monday market report. There's this report right here that you're seeing today on Monday, and then probably sometime maybe on Thursday, we're also going to kind of redo the Monday market report, where we cover some pretty unusual error coins to have sold on great collections too. A lot of like really modern stuff that has popped up, all from one prominent collection, and they all, in some aspects, deserve a little bit of praise and accolades because a lot of these coins, while probably entirely not searchable by today's standards, are coins that do come up in conversations before. It could possibly be that there's one of these examples that have popped up in an old collection. You need to know more about it. We are going to talk about it. Very exciting, very, very exciting week. And then another thing I also wanted to bring up is that there are a lot of older coins that we don't traditionally talk about on the Monday market report that's going to get some limelight this week. And I'm really excited to talk about that as well. But with all things considering, this report again highlights all graded coins, so all PCGS and GC. There might be some Annex graded coins in the mix on some of these reports, but rest assured, everything generally is authenticated and graded. Plus, in addition to the collector market and the investables market, there's also the registry set market as well, which is a pretty big deal. So let's go ahead and jump right in to see what we have. Again, if you guys are looking to buy a coin of high quality, then Great Collections might be for you. Go ahead and check out their website, greatcollections.com. Or if you're looking to consign some of your higher end pieces, maybe you're looking to get rid of a collection, Great Collections can do that for you as well. So, they do it all, folks. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first coin of the week. And we have here, of course, it wouldn't be a MMR without highlighting one of our perennial favorites. This 1943D Lincoln Wheat Cent. As you guys know, it's a zinc-coated steel planchet produced coin. One shot year, very popular. Just so happens that this one is an NGC graded mid-state 67. But most importantly, it features a D over D repunch mint mark. Not the prototypical like Big Daddy RPM, but there are a few RPMs for this particular date. This one is cataloged as VP003. So that's worth noting. This particular RPM is quite minor compared to some others, but because it's sitting here, it's graded and attributed with that RPM. It's kind of a big deal. And there's probably some collection out there, probably a Lincoln Cent variety collection that needs this coin. I haven't talked about it because none of these generally have come up at auction. So again, another important coin for this week. This one ended up selling for $2,925. And at this particular juncture, it's less about the grade, and it's more about the variety attribution, which matters. Not saying that a low-end example of this, as the D over D VP3, will ever end up selling for over $1,000, but when you have a nice combination of a scarce variety and a pretty good grade, those are recipes for what is bound to be a really nice sale, and that's what we have here in this one. The next one that we have here is kind of like your prototypical 1920s produced Lincoln cent. As you can see from the reverse, most notably, this was a horrible strike. Lots of die deterioration, and that's par for the course for this series. 26S has kind of been referred to as one of your more scarce dates, especially in high grades. Now, this one, grade-wise, isn't going to kind of like wow you at first glance. It's a mid-state 64, and I think they were kind of generous giving it a red-brown designation. Although this is a much older NGC holder graded coin. So this was probably graded maybe a good solid 10 to 20 years ago. So somewhere, during the 2000s is when this one was certified. So there is that. This one ended up selling for $1,674. Where is this geared towards? Well, probably more than likely a US type collector or a Lincoln cent collector in general, who's doing a complete date set will want something like this. Again, for a registry, it's not going to be as impactful because it's not a much higher grade, nor is it a full red coin, which are quite scarce for any 1920s Lincoln to begin with. But this one right here is just a fine example of a coin that's not all beat up for a scarce date. The next one that we have here is one of probably the more well-collected dates in the entire series. Of course, you can see the S mint mark. However, it's not a VDB reverse. All right, this one does not have the initials there on the reverse of what some would consider to be kind of like your gold standard of the series. And what does that mean for just the plain 1909S? Is it being slept on? Well, I really don't think so. But, these days there is some relevancy in discussing coins like this that do come up in the marketplace. Now, let's talk a little bit about the stats of this coin. It's a PCGS Mid-State 65 red, which is a fine grade. I think for the overall appearance of the coin, it's close. I'm surprised that, I wouldn't have been surprised if it was a red-brown. But I think because this coin exhibits kind of like a little bit of that wood graining that everybody loves, PCGS has kind of given a little bit extra exception to the rule for this grade. In addition, it's also CAC certified, so you have two completely unrelated services that have really agreed on this 65 red grade. And that's where it really matters. I think overall, it's an extremely attractive coin. If you didn't have the means or money to afford a similarly graded VDB coin, which could cost you $3,000 to $5,000 in a 65 red, this one right here is, I would say, a fantastic compromise. And I think less people are kind of like really paying attention to this coin, but that could also be a good thing for the people that do want it. This one ended up selling for $1,968.75. In comparison to its VDB kind of brother in all this, that seems like a steal, because it is. Now, speaking of coins that are being slept on, how about this 1909S Indian head cent? Yeah, this is one of the big kind of like key dates of the Indian head series, but for years it's been overshadowed by like the 1877 Indian head cent. Yeah, it's about 20 some odd years removed, but you have an 1877 Indian head cent, which in this same grade is worth thousands of dollars. But you also have the Lincoln 1909S VDB that has certainly overshadowed this coin as well. So a lot of these did circulate. A lot of kind of what your typical grade is of this particular Indian head. It seems to be that VF kind of level. VF 20s, VF 25s kind of grow on trees. But when they get into mid-state condition, that's where the rarity lies a little bit here. This one, PCGS, mid-state 63, red-brown. Don't know where the red is on here. I bet you this is one of those coins that probably has luster and all sorts of other things going on when you have the coin in hand. I'm sure it would present a little bit more different. However, this one, I'm happy to say, sold for nearly as much as the previous coin at $1,967.62. Again, this is a highly underrated coin, but I don't think it'll last quite that long. Now, we do have some nickels. A lot of what's represented in this week's MMR are going to be your higher denomination silver, stuff that typically we take for granted as being just junk. However, the nickels, always an important component to the MMR. Some would say, yeah, it's not nearly quite the collected series as the Lincoln Cent or maybe the Washington Quarter series. I would tend to agree. But this particular series has a lot of its challenges in a good way. You know, some would say, well, you know, it's like playing the lottery. You don't know when one of these are going to come up. But this is a 1939S Jefferson Nickel, one of the earlier dates. It is a branch mid coin, which indicates a little bit of a tougher date to look for. However, this one right here has everything that you want in a coin of this particular caliber. Mid-state 66 plus. It does have full steps designated by PCGS, but also it's the reverse of 1940. So the difference between this and the reverse of 38 or 39 or whatever it is simply just in the re-engraved steps is what we see here. The steps are a lot cleaner. They're a lot sharper. They also have the bookend parts of the steps on the left and right side of the steps that are much more bold and pronounced than the other ones where you don't have that. Plus the steps are wavy on those other reverse types. This one right here, just a really nice, presentable coin. It has I was going to say luster, but it doesn't have any toning or anything. This one ended up selling for $2,220.23. Now we're on to some pretty spicy coins here. How about a 30AD? One of the most widely hoarded coins in mid-state condition. People knew that this Buffalo series was coming to a close and that the Jefferson Nickel series was coming in. So a lot of people did hoard 38Ds, and 38, they only produced them in Denver. It was a one-shot. However, this one right here looks like it spent some time in maybe an older album, or maybe it was in some other storage thing where this one was able to tone the way it did. But, it really is an attractive coin. I think with this level of just overall eye appeal, there was a lot to love here. Check out the grade. Pretty nice. NGC Mid-State 68 star. The star denotes an obvious eye appeal upgrade to the coin, and that's why they do put the stars on there. This one ended up selling for $3,622.50. It's one of the more common dates in mid-state condition, but I think most collectors love this particular example for what it offers above and beyond that, and it's that toning. Now here's a 37D. Again, not a coin that's obviously gonna light your pants on fire. It's a 37D. It's one of the more commonly encountered dates in mid-state condition as a raw coin. You go to any show, there are a lot of dealers that sell these, as a standalone coin, ungraded, raw. And, generally you could pick these up for between $30 and $50. Like if you needed like a really nice type coin, but didn't want to spend the money for a upgraded, authenticated example like this one. Now this is a mid-state 67 and it's also CAC certified. Overall, it's a really clean example, but it does show, a few of kind of like the weaker struck areas like this area here. above the hair tie in this area here is quite susceptible to, just general flattening of the strike. This one ended up selling for $1,041.75. Now here's a 31S. I would say this is probably one of the final more difficult grades to come across before you head into the 20s, where that's kind of like the meat and bones and potatoes of the series. Once you dip into the 1920s, you better prepare to be on a major hunt, because a lot of the coins, especially in mid-state condition, get pricey. But some of the lower end examples look too terrible that it makes you want to upgrade to a much better condition. 1931S kind of fits the criteria of both the 1920s and the 30s. It's got a little bit of a scarcity play here. The mintage is quite a bit lower than any other 1930s coin. However, if you needed to find an example that maybe doesn't quite grade the 66 plus like this one, but maybe you're looking for maybe a 62 or 63 for your Buffalo date set, I mean, you could get one for maybe a few $100s and be completely content. However, 31S gets kind of pricey beyond mid-state 65. This one sold for $2,165.62. And it's also worth noting there was a little bit of toning on the periphery of both sides of this coin. All right, now we're on to dimes. And I'm liking the dimes piece of the MMR this week. As you can tell, no Roosevelts in attendance, no LS Brown coins anymore. That was a heck of a collection, by the way. So this 35S is quite a clean coin. It's a mid-state 67 full bands. So it's got definitely the best strike that you could envision for a date of this caliber. Generally, San Francisco minted coins are a little bit more weakly struck in the series, but this one definitely a beautiful lights out type of coin. Again, it's also CAC green beaned as well. This one ended up selling for $2,205. And as fast as you can possibly imagine, it ends up in a pretty nice collection. All right, we do have a trio of Barber Dimes. Probably the first time, and hopefully not the last time, on the Blue Ridge Silverhound Monday Market Reports will we talk about a number of Barber Dimes. But we have a couple really nice coins here, starting out with a proof 1910. Yeah, I mean, the toning is quite dark on this coin, and, some people that's a turn off, but at the end of the day, it's like, what are you really buying? You're buying a true scarce coin with an ultra low mintage. I would probably think the mintage on this is maybe a few thousand coins, if that. It might even be lower than 1,000. I did check, by the way, but proof early obsolete type coins are quite scarce. Proof 67 plus through PCGS, CAC certified, gold shield. It's got everything you want. There are series collectors that look for the finest of the fine, and this is it. This one sold for $10,968.75. Again, it's a huge power play coin. It serves many purposes, from registry sets to typeset collecting to an investment piece for a portfolio. This has it all. And then, not to be outdone, a 1909 O. All right, I don't talk about New Orleans coins on the Monday Market Report. A lot of that is generally reserved for coins of the 1800s. So to find one that did hammer in here this week on a Barber dime of all things is quite exciting. This one is a PCGS Mid-State 66 Plus. Again, very relevant type of grade for an O mint. CAC certified, and it's original, guys. It's got the original skin. It's got the original toning that has developed over many decades. Yeah, it's toning. It's a love it or hate it thing with a lot of my audience members. Some of you probably agree. But if you don't like it, don't strip it of its natural glory. Go ahead and sell it and reap the rewards, if it came down to it. This one right here ended up selling for $6,755.62. That's a pretty good trade-off and a really beautiful coin at such a staggering grade. And then finally, we have another Omen. We got 2 Omen coins on the group here this week. Again, the excitement level is palpable. How about 1906 New Orleans? This one, however, is a 67. Just a magnificent coin. Just a stunner in every sense of the word. I think that out of the 3 coins, this might be my favorite just on the way it looks all on its own. I mean, this is archival toning at its best. It's not super dark and terminal. It's like light, feathery, just really, really pretty. CAC certified as well. This one sold for $15,750. Yeah, that's a pretty good price tag on this. Again, is it really worth it? Yeah, it's well worth it. I was tracking this one for the better part of the last 4 days. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be a $10,000 coin. Sure enough, it didn't disappoint. And again, coins like this don't come onto the scene that often. So when one does come up, you better believe it's going to wake up the collective old school guys that do want this, and they have the deep pockets for it. All right, well, we do have a few quarters. How about 68D? Well, I promise you it's ultra modern, which, anything beyond 1950 certainly kind of fits that mold. 68D, I mean, this is a coin, ladies and gentlemen, that's made and tailored for a registry set. Pure and simple. Don't ever invest in things like this. 68 Denvers are generally much more lustrous and better struck than its Philadelphia counterparts. That's why coins like, say, a 65 Business Strike Philadelphia, 66, 68, you can even throw in there, 67, 69, which is one of the toughest, and 67 and higher, is a number of coins of the late 60s. Remember, okay, there was no mint set from 65 to 67. So there's a little bit of a scarcity play here with a few of the dates. 69, of course, was a date which is a little bit lower mintage compared to some of the other dates of the 60s. And that's why, finding premier, exceptional type of grades of any of these coins are not quite impossible, but they're pretty close. You're going to have to do some major searching to find those. But a 68D, not exactly your prototypical kind of like scarce high grade. 67 plus, again, screams everything registry set. This one ended up selling for $1,293.75. And 61D, of course, is, again, one of those early 60s silvers, Eddie Denver, 61, 62, 63, that are all quite rare in grades of 67 and up. However, here's one right here. All right, Mid-State 67. It's also part of the Washington Rainbow's quarter provenance or pedigree. And just a good-looking coin. It's got a little bit of toning on there. And this one sold for $2,923, which, again, shows you a little bit of how valued these early 60s Denver, Washington quarters can be. And this is just a good example here. Now, this one right here, whoa. I own coins similar in appearance to this 43D. Now, 43D is not a rare coin in mid-state condition. However, there is something to be said with a coin that grades 68 and looks like this, and still manages to sell for a pretty decent amount of money. I'll share that with you here in a second. But take a look at this coin. It's got just decades of skin, kind of like that hazy, milky white appearance all over the coin. It hardly looks mid-state, but surprisingly, these are coins that come out in older albums, older collections. Maybe this was in an older, kind of like 40, 50-year-old 2x2 holder. It's just been sitting there. It's got the rusty staples and all that stuff. This is one of those kind of like closet coins that you just come across every so often, and it makes you wonder, what is it in today's grading society? And this is a 68. So, when you have a coin like this, and it's not without its faults, I will say that. It's got a few nicks. The toning isn't my kind of like preferred look to the coin, but it is to other people. This one, surprisingly, hammered at $10,693.12. Again, it's a testament to the strength of the registry set market and just overall like early, crusty, original silver that people take for granted and throw into a bucket at the, after they've gone and purchased up a group of 90% junk. There are things like this that do exist in those old albums and old 2x2 holders that we need to pay more attention about. Again, it's easy to say, yeah, let's go ahead and dip this thing into Tarnex, but you're going to be scrubbing away many decades of originality. You're going to be scrubbing away many thousands of dollars out the door of value on these coins. Keep your eye out for things like this, because it's really going to shock you at the end of the day just how desirable these original coins are. And here's another one, not quite as milky as the 43 that we saw before, but how about a 40S? Not again one of those coins that's quite rare to find out there. If you needed a mid-state raw example, you could buy them for around maybe 30 to 40 bucks. However, this is a mid-state 67 plus CAC certified. It's got registry set, kind of like stamped all over the thing. This one sold for $2,250. So again, the originality, the toning on there, just everything about it, it does appeal to collectors of this series. And the final quarter on this week's report is going to be another Barber. I mean, we are just slinging out Barbers left and right. Now, the Barber series of coins, and you can even throw this 15D in the mix as a prototypical date that were commonly referred to as workhorse coins. Nobody really saved these things in mid-state condition, right? They were used up and down throughout the Great Depression age, after the recession after the First World War. I mean, these things were being used. They were tossed around, they were beat up, they were well worn, kind of like that average grade of a Barber coin is like a good 6. I mean, that's how much that they circulated. So, to find one that looks like this, which looks like it was in some sort of holder, if not, maybe not an old album, to develop just years of toning, this is a stunner. Now, 15D, not a rare date by itself. I mean, the Philadelphia one's more scarce. This is a mid-state 66 star. So again, there's that star by NGC. Again, denoting just an amazing eye appeal on this coin. Sold for $2,216.25. Me personally, I think that's kind of a steal for a coin like this. Barbers still, I think to this day, haven't been accepted as being one of the top series in spite of its rarity in mid-state grades. And this might actually, the 4 coins that we talk about today might actually change the view of Barber coins. Yeah, Liberty looks a little manly on here, but at the end of the day, this is early type stuff, and they are gorgeous in any capacity. And the final coin of this week, how about 39S Walker? Oh my god, this thing is gorgeous. Now, it doesn't exactly show the best strike, okay? You could say the same for any San Francisco minted Walking Liberty half dollar. It's a little flat here on this hand area of Lady Liberty. And generally, that gets pretty well worn and flat as a result of just the strike. To where it kind of molds into her dress. This one, however, just has enough kind of like distinguishing features of that hand separating itself from everything else to where people kind of would want something like this. The 39S is not scarce, all right? You could get one at a much lower grade, like a 64, 65, and end up spending, upwards of $500, and people would be okay with that. However, this one, I would say probably leaning at just like maybe 55% toward a registry set than more of an all-purpose type of category of coin. 67 plus, CAC certified, again, all relevant stuff on there. Sold for $5,979. and 38 cents. Just a beautiful coin, lots of luster. This is a huge piece for any collection, and a registry set will love something like this. Well, that's going to go ahead and do it for this edition of the Monday Market Report. I also wanted to remind you that we are back on tonight. I am your host on the live coin Q&A channel, where we take a look at viewer-submitted coins. Lots of errors, lots of varieties, lots of question marks. We're there to help kind of solve the equation for everyone. So if you guys are interested, come check out our channel, Live Coin Q&A. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be on 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern, and then everybody else in between, you guys know where you're at. But that's going to go ahead and do it. It sure was a pleasure to talk about a really nice MMR, kind of like a little change of pace. You know, there are coins that continue to perform well all times of the year, doesn't matter what. And then there's going to be the other coins that are really kind of geared towards the moderns, you know, like your newer Washington quarters and things like that. But this week, you really see not so much a shift, but you see where more of the priority lies, you know, in the coin market. People want those marquee, high-end type pieces that we just don't see on a daily basis. And that's where a lot of the money flows, especially this week. That's going to go ahead and do it. Thank you guys again. I'm Sean with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Don't forget to like, share, and sub in if you haven't done so already. I would appreciate all the extra support in that matter. But that's going to go ahead and do it. I hope to see you guys tonight. You guys take care. Have a great week. Have a great Monday. And I will see you on the next coin video. So long.